There are certain types of houses that I would really have to think twice about before purchasing. After being in real estate for almost 2 decades, you see a lot, and it's really jaded me on the types of houses that I would and would not purchase. So today I'm going to share with you guys, if it were me personally, I would be thinking twice about making these, and then one that I absolutely would purchase, however everybody else seems to have a problem. The first type of house that I'm going to second guess personally is the homes that are about 100 years old or older. Now don't get me wrong, I get it. These are beautiful, beautiful homes. The old Victorians with the wraparound front porch. They come with so much charm and character. And you're probably gonna say things in the comments about, well, they were built better then. And in a lot of cases, you could be right. They were built with solid wood and not some of the toothpicks you see today. However, the thing that you're probably not keeping in mind is all of the electrical, the lead plumbing, the lead-based paint that could be in the house, the asbestos. There's a lot that needs to be uncovered when it comes to these older homes and some of the products that were used when they built these houses. If you're going to invest in a home that's over 100 years old, you need to be prepared financially to be able to reinvest in that house. You can't just fall in love with the charm as a new home buyer and then not have the bank account to keep up with it. Now this next option is a hard no for me. I actually have a lot of clients that have been investing in manufactured homes recently. Don't get it twisted. I have nothing against manufactured homes. Where my hard pass comes in is when you're purchasing just the manufactured home itself and you're not actually purchasing the land that the manufactured home is sitting on. I have a client recently that bought an entire manufactured home park. It's a cash cow for him. He's making a lot of money because mobile homes a lot of times are much more affordable to purchase, and then you can rent them out and still make a pretty good penny. That being said, if you're gonna buy the manufactured home, but you're not buying the land, even if you bought the mobile home itself in cash, you still are having to make rental payments on the land that it sits on. So this one for me personally is a hard no. Now, the next house that I would really have to think twice about before buying is going to be a house that's in a flood zone. Now, obviously, if you're sitting on the river or the ocean, maybe even a stream, it's pretty self-explanatory that it could possibly be in a flood zone. But what I think a lot of people don't realize is that there are homes that water's nowhere in sight that could still potentially be in a flood zone, and you need to make sure that you're aware of that. Even homes that are in a 100-year flood zone or 500-year flood zone are mandatory to have flood insurance. A 100-year flood zone means that there's a 0.1% chance that it's going to flood, and a 500-year flood zone means it's a 0.002 chance that it's going to flood. Yet, insurance companies are going to make sure that they are not going to be on the hook for this. You're mandatory to have that flood insurance, and that can raise your rates, which are probably already high at this point in time, by about $1,000 or more. Now, I'm not saying not to buy one, but I'm definitely saying that you should do your homework, and your real estate agent should be able to help you with the guidance of finding out if the home is in a flood zone that you're looking at, and if so, what type of flood zone are you looking at? That way you can go to your insurance company and see realistically, what am I looking at paying additionally if I do purchase this home? And you also know and can look at history to see, has this home ever flooded before? And what are the chances that it might flood again? Now, this next home option is probably gonna ruffle some feathers. And look, I'm not trying to throw shade here, but I just am not a fan of all of the new home construction. Those of you that follow me know that I definitely have the builders that I will and will not support. Now, at the end of the day, the option is up to you. And if you want to work with a builder that I personally have had issues with in the past and don't trust, that's on you. I've educated you. You can go online and look at their reviews. You can look at the warranty issues that have taken place, and you can decide if that's the risk that you're willing to take. But me personally, again, being in this business for almost 2 decades, you hear a lot of stuff, you see a lot of things, and I've had clients that have closed on a brand new house only to have it falling apart in the very first few months. We're calling the warranty department and they're nowhere to be found. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about with new homes. Don't get me wrong, new homes are gorgeous these days. They've got all of the bells and whistles, they've got all of the updated plumbing, electrical, and all of the AV that you could ever want. However, They're slapped together sometimes like toothpicks. They're prefabricated offsite and brought in and then forced to fit together. So you really have to know the builder that you're working with and make sure that they're a reputable builder and somebody that is going to have quality work, pride in what they're doing. Otherwise, you might be paying for it later. Now this next one, I would probably consider, but I'm definitely having a very, very thorough inspection, maybe even 2 inspections. And that's gonna be properties that have been flipped by an LLC. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've taken a client to see a house and we walk in and it's crystal clear that this was a flip just by the amount of paint that's on the ceilings or the crooked trim work. If you can't even take the time to tape off walls so that you have crisp paint lines and line up the trim to make sure that that looks good, why would I believe that you took the time on the back end to take care of the things that we potentially can't see right now with the naked eye? Especially with the last few years where inventory has been incredibly low. So you've got investors that are trying to just come in, turn and burn, and get that house back on the market. You can look at the history of the house to see when it was last purchased. And if you're seeing that it's just been purchased a few months ago and now they've got it on the market for $100,000 higher, look at the original listing photos. Does it look like they actually put in the work? Or did they come in and just slap lipstick on a pig and now they're trying to capitalize on their investment? So the best thing to do is really get a home inspection and make sure that you're going over it thoroughly so that there's no surprises down the line. Now this next one is actually one that I personally would buy, and I did. It's my personal home. But so many people that I talk to seem to have an issue with it, and that's homes with septic tanks. I think a lot of people that aren't from Georgia are just not familiar with septic tanks because when they come here and they hear that a home has a septic tank, they completely freak out and say, absolutely not. Cross off any home that has a septic tank. That's fine and we can do that, but you have to keep in mind that a lot of the homes here in Georgia, especially homes that were built in the 80s, 90s, and even early 2000s, have septic tanks. If you want to cross homes with septic tanks off your list, you have the right to do that, but you just have to keep in mind that you're greatly limiting the options of homes that you're going to be looking at. Septic tanks aren't as scary as people tend to think that they are, as long as you take care of them. It's when they're neglected and you're not pumping it regularly that, yes, you can have options. It's kind of like the rotting wood around your house. Well, you didn't paint it, you didn't seal it. There's things that need taken care of when you buy a home. So when you're buying a home with a septic tank, you need to understand what that looks like for you. I'll tell you from me personally. I've been in my house for 12 years now, and along the way, we've pumped our tank 3 different times. We're a family of 4, so about every 4 to 5 years, we make sure that we're having it pumped. It doesn't necessarily need to be done at that time. However, I'm one that's going to be proactive instead of reactive. I'd rather go ahead and have it pumped and not have any crappy situations in my house, if you know what I mean. I will say that about halfway through our ownership of this home, we did have it pumped and they said, you know what, you're really going to need to redo the lines at some point. Go ahead and do it. Replace the lines now because I don't want to have a situation down the road where now I'm in panic mode, right? I will say the one thing that I did not budget for was the landscaping. I was very naive to exactly what was going to take place when they were replacing the lines. They dig about 3 to 4 feet deep because these pipes that they have are huge. They're not these little bitty pipes. So you really need to think about the landscaping that you plan to do after that and make sure that it's in the budget. It cost us about $4,500 to replace all of the lines, which in the grand scheme of things was worth it. However, it took about 500 years, really 2, but it felt like 500 because I was having grass grow for the longest time. For me personally, I would not cross homes with septic tanks off the list. I know the risks, I'm willing to take it, but that's a personal thing and it has to be personal for you. If you're looking at buying a home, one of the things you're really going to want to make sure that you're asking your real estate agent to provide is going to be the seller's disclosure statement. This is basically the statement that tells you everything that has been done. It's been filled out by the seller themselves, and it tells you anything that's been done to the home. If they've had any insurance claims on the home, if they've had any major leaks that they had to take care of, how old the AC is, how old the roof is, the water heater, all of the major units and components that could go bad and cost you quite a bit of money. Really and truly, when it comes down to if I'm going to buy a home or if I'm not, it comes down to the inspection itself. As always, I appreciate you guys spending time with me. I really do hope this video helps you think about your options along the way. And if you're thinking about buying a home, reach out to me. Let's talk about your plans and how we can make them happen. I'll see you on the next one. You can actually take blah, 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 blah.